Hi, it's Duncan. I get asked how I best describe why I wrote the answer, and I can't deny that basically the answer is based upon my life before my epiphany, which is a period of pretty um, definable lostness and stuckness and pursuit of something I didn't really know or understand or know how to describe. I was a sports coach, swimming teacher, retail manager, nightclub bouncer, um, hod carrier, you know, um, bricklayer's mate, assembled motorbikes, worked in restaurants, as a dishwasher, made my way through just about every conceivable job it's possible to think about, and constantly in pursuit of something that I didn't even know what it was, apart from the fact it was manifestly kind of um, unsated, unsatisfied. I felt unsatisfied. And at 32, the ripe old age of 32, I was helped by Mike, who I talk about frequently. Um, and the irony is, I got his job 2 years later because he triggered the fact that I was a career guidance practitioner in waiting or in hiding, and that was my calling. And very quickly into that training, I kind of manifest this calling that had been there all along. So I pivoted into becoming a redundancy counsellor in December 1997 because I couldn't earn enough money as a career guidance practitioner to pay off the career development loan that I took out to do the training. And I felt as if I was in a bit of a poverty trap. And there was an advert in the Sunday Times appointment section which said outplacement consultants, and I applied and got the job. And my first project was working on the BP Amoco oil merger, although we all really knew deep down inside that it was a takeover of Amoco by BP, British Petroleum. And that was a project based in West London, and it was paying probably 4, 5 times the amount of money that I would have earned as a career guidance practitioner, which is a shame in many respects because I genuinely loved working with young people, and that was very much a calling for me. But I found that what I'd learned in career guidance was infinitely transferable into redundancy counselling, or to give it its correct name, outplacement consultancy. And I was quite an unusual animal in that world because nearly everybody who I was working with as freelance consultants were all HR professionals, HR managers. And they're two very different kind of animals altogether. They're as different as recruitment consultants are from career guidance practitioners. Because recruitment consultants aren't career guidance people, they're salespeople. They sell um, their services to recruit. They claim to provide career management advice, but they're driven by commission. That's a very important distinction. Outspoken of me, but that's it. That's the way it works. So then I've done this 29, almost 30 years now, working in career guidance, stroke outplacement consultancy, stroke executive coaching, leadership coaching, purpose coaching. And the same thing is common to all of these things, which is why I've ended up writing the answer. And the reason and the thing that's common, he said, bashing his microphone. Sorry about that. The thing that's common to all of these various markets, stroke, strands of my portfolio of work is that people just don't know the person staring back at them from the mirror in front of them. It's a failing in society It's an abject failing of our education system that young people can exit school or exit college or sixth form or university and have barely scratched the surface of their self-awareness, let alone know what grammar to attribute to the defining of who they are. So, first and foremost, their skills are verbs. They have skills are verbs. They end in ing. People use nouns and adjectives and all sorts of convoluted language to describe skills. But at the end of the day, they're a verb. They end in ing. Teaching, guiding, designing, drawing, creating, making, advising, engineering, analyzing. These are all kind of fundamental underpinning verbs that we ought to know that we're good at. And I need to get a nice big good being meaning of life engine diagram up there on my flip chart stand behind me. That's the meaning of life engine there. Gut, heart and mind. And that's my pièce de résistance. That's the thing that makes me most proud, is that I've worked that out as the driving mechanism, the propulsion system behind a person's life. And we shouldn't forget that human beings are engines. We are designed for work. We extract pride and meaning and purpose and self-esteem and positive self-regard. We extract this from what we do as beings, the verb to be. We just have to consider that this is a very, very complex, magnificent, exquisite, awe-inspiring machine. We have this amazing brain inside of our head. We have this amazing mind and soul, multi-dimensional being that we are. We can feel things that we can't necessarily understand. We have hidden antennae that can detect minute shifts and fluctuations in energy in ourselves and in other people. We can connect to other people, not by touching them, but we can connect by feeling who and what they are and why there's an emotion occurring at any given moment. These micro movements in people's eyes and muscles and non-verbal signals. And the reason that the answer has come into being, that I gave birth to this work, I sculpted this work, is because constantly on the basis of my own lostness and then guiding, upwards of 3,500 people in the last 30 years, I learned that people didn't have the vocabulary, the language, their own words to be able to coherently and confidently and cogently describe who they are. And if we can't describe who we are, then how do we love who we are? If we can't understand what makes us tick as a human, how do we expect other people to do so? So it's fundamental. It's an elemental foundation, keystone in our life. And I find that more and more and more. And I've got hundreds of self-help book, personal development books behind me. And the guy who was my mentor for many years, Richard Nelson Bowles, who I met back in 2000, and he was my mentor for 17 years. He wrote that book every single year from 1967 until the year of his death, which I believe was 2017. Could be wrong. He died just 3 weeks after his 90th birthday. An amazing giant of a man, physical giant, but also emotional and intellectual giant. I had the pleasure of meeting him in 2000, and unforgivably name dropping as I am, I had to get him to sign the book, and we kept in touch, and I was his understudy. He knew I was writing this book all the way back in 2000. It's taken me all these years to distill my ideas into a congruent form, which is in my book, The Answer. So the reason it's a heart-shaped diamond and it has the answer set into it is because a diamond is a result of massive pressure, massive adversity, and the beauty in the human being is very, very comparable. That metaphor serves it really, really well. That the jewel within results from massive pressure, and it's unbelievably constant fascination to me, the amount of unbelievably successful people that I read about or study or meet who have overcome these extraordinary examples of adversity in their lives. And that's taught them who they are. It's surrendered up to them who they are. And that's profound. Life is profound. But the other reason that the heart is there in the front cover of the book, too easy to forget, is because it's a symbol of love. And it's so unfashionable to talk about love as a thing that we have to do. The human being is designed, it's evolved to love and connect with other human beings. We would not have survived or evolved for 300,000 years if we weren't cooperative, collaborative, harmony-seeking beings. It's a pivotal part of the thesis of my book that we are living on the wrong side of Darwin. This is not about survival of the fittest. Don't kid yourselves on. That's a complete misnomer. The human heart is a love-generating engine. The good being, meaning of life engine is that we have 3 chambers in our heart. We have our gut, our heart, and our mind. I've talked about 3 work chakras in alignment. And there's more of that in the book, obviously. But I think I've described and defined enough for this particular video what it is that makes me tick and why I'm so blessed to be working in the field that I am, and how I'm so pleased ultimately that through all of the kind of anguish and the searching, the soul searching, and all of the mistakes that I made en route on my path to finding eventually unlocking my vocation, the work I was born to do, the work I was called to do. If you might be a person who believes in a higher power, what that higher power has called us, what we exist to contribute to our fellow beings as a form of good being. It's the name of my blog. We're all good beings. It's a benevolent world, not a malevolent one. We develop and grow by contributing that which is manifest within us, that other people will appreciate us for, respect us for. The work that we contribute will be valued by them, and upon that we can grow our self-esteem, our positive self-regard, our own version of love for ourselves, because that is the keystone upon which all of this is built. Thank you.